I'm still working to end the stigma surrounding mental health. I like to find out what different people do to protect their mental health. Do they have any wisdom or tricks to share with us? Let's find out with another episode of the State of Mind podcast with me, Richard Sefton. From Brookside to Ackley Bridge to Loose Women to the dance floor, my guest today has seemingly worked so hard for so long on so much. Such a well-known and well-loved actress, and I'm so looking forward to this chat today. And so, Sunetra, Sarker, how are you?
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Thank you, Richard. I'm well. I'm very well. The sun is shining. Having a good chat. What can be better? Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Have you got a cuppa on the go?
I have actually. Did you hear me have a sip?
I didn't know.
Sorry.
It's just I've got mine, and that's what completes a perfect day, really.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I am a strong tea person. I like the tea bag in for a little bit longer than most others.
Oh, I have mine. People laugh at how I have mine. It looks like warm milk.
I've got a friend who literally just hovers the tea bag over the water. I'm
This is me.
What are you drinking? I see. I get you now.
Now, you are a proud Liverpudlian. What does the city mean to you?
Oh, well, you know, I think the world began for me with Liverpool. So I just thought that was what everybody saw Liverpool the way I did it. It was quite a shock, actually, as I grew up, realising how regionalised and how sort of compartmentalised Liverpool can be at times. But for me, it had everything. The whole world was in Liverpool. You know, there was water, there was countryside, there was city, there was schools, there was education, there was fancy shops, we had the music scene, we had a bit of arty, we had a bit of intelligence, we had the universities, the cathedrals. I mean, it really was jam-packed. So to have a city where you didn't really need to go out of those, you know, the borders. You didn't have to go to do anything apart from obviously London for some of the bigger jobs. But Liverpool really did have it all for me. So I love it, and I'm so proud to say I'm from Liverpool. I'm lucky.
For you, where it all started work-wise, you know, was Liverpool. I'm assuming they filmed Brookside actually in Liverpool.
They literally filmed it behind my mum and dad's house.
I
could walk to work. I could walk to work. It was that good.
That's amazing.
It was. There were two sets for Brookside. So Brookside, the Close, was one location, and then behind the Close in the programme there was like a parade of shops, and that was filmed somewhere else. But when I first started in 1988, there was just the Close, and you filmed inside the real houses, and that Close was literally behind a park behind my mum and dad's house, so it was close by.
That's so funny. How did that feel being a 15? You were 15 at the time, weren't you?
Yeah.
How did that feel with the established character? Because you went in 1988 and it started 1982, was it?
Yes, and so it was up and running. It was had a really good, strong following, especially in Liverpool, and you know,
and on the Wirral.
Nationally, and on the Wirral.
We were watching it on the Wirral.
We were all so proud to have a show that was like focused in and around Merseyside, weren't we? And I think, I was chuffed. I mean, I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I was obviously bragging about it at school, not even knowing what it was I was going to be doing. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be playing this schoolgirl on Brookside. I don't know how many episodes. I don't know how long. I don't know if I've got lines. You know, I really didn't know what I was walking into, but I was so proud to say it was a big deal to be able to say you were doing anything on TV, because again, 1988, we didn't have we had the 4 channels, we didn't have Sky, we didn't have, you know, social media, all the rest. We didn't have X Factor, we didn't have reality TV. So TV was really just for a select few. It really was quite, you know, I suppose elitist, and for me to be thrown into this special world where people had to have equity cards and did you go to drama school, those sort of questions, you know, it really was quite I did feel like I had a bit of imposter syndrome.
Well, I live quite close to, so I'm told, I live quite close to Ricky Tomlinson. Was he in it at the same time as you?
Yeah, he was. So Sue Johnson, Ricky Tomlinson, John McCardle, I think they were all passing through, but I was too nervous to talk to any of them because they were the grown-ups. They were like the poster boys and girls of the show. But Barry Grant and the
Jimmy
like I say,
Dean
Sullivan.
I've met him.
Yeah, and Dean stuck around for a lot of my time at Brookside, so I did get the balls to start talking to the grown-ups eventually. But going in as a schoolgirl, you had a chaperone, you sort of had to, you know, be driven in and driven home, and you didn't really have the freedom that adults have, I suppose, to go to work. So I was very much watching from the sidelines in awe. And again, I was watching how the acting industry works. I got front row seats to everything technical, everything you know, creative, how people talk, the terminology. What does POV mean? It means point of view. What does that mark mean? You know, all these sort of words that you wouldn't expect to know. So I did watch from the sidelines like a hungry audience.
That's beautiful. You know, you got to watch and hone your craft, I suppose, from the best, from these amazing Sue Johnston and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, and I really did learn from them. I watched them at their work. It was like a masterclass every day, watching people perfect their scenes and get to know how you actually can fudge things and you can almost like cheat some sort of you know, instead of actually throw in the pillow as far as you would, you realise the camera can't see that, so you do it here. And you know, there's just so many things you would never be able to learn from a textbook or even from a stage school that I got my training on the TV set floor, and for that I am just indebted to Brookside, because it really was a training ground.
So what was your training then? What to get the job? Were you normal school, stage school? What?
I was just GCSE drama, stood at a bus stop, and you know, this lady drove by a couple of times, pulled over, said, "You got the right face for this new character, will you come for an audition?"
Sunetra, that is amazing.
I know. They couldn't find an Asian, because let's not forget, back then there was no Asian Scouse girls going to drama school. They were all in London. If they were in Liverpool, they were probably for the people who were very, you know, who could afford it. Yeah. It wasn't, you know, and you wouldn't find an Asian young Indian Scouse, authentic Scouse accented actress that way. So they had to take to the streets, and I suppose they found a bunch of us from all different places, and didn't know what hit me. I really didn't. So I did get thrown into the industry quite literally by accident. I don't think I would have become an actor had I not had that opportunity.
No wonder
that was my lucky break.
That's amazing.
Yeah, of course.
So lucky.
Oh, talk about big breaks. Which is why I never had aspirations for Hollywood or anything more, because I thought my biggest break was that back. I mean, I couldn't ask for more luck than what happened on that day.
When I say lucky, I'm not...
Oh, sorry. It was the 8th. It was the 8th of the 8th, 88, which is a very auspicious day in the Chinese calendar. Apparently good things happen on those special numbered days.
Certainly
and
did.
So, yeah, that's why I remember it so well.
It certainly did. I wasn't doing down your craft when I said you were very lucky, because you're an amazing actress. What I mean was just those circumstances. I'm sure you agree, actually, from what you said. I just didn't want you to think, oh, you're so lucky.
No, truly, I am lucky, because I would never have had the opportunity to see what I saw, and I'd never have stuck it out in drama school. Now I know what my friends who went to drama school went through, the competitiveness, the level of understanding, the passion you have to want to be there in the first place. You know, all those things. I think I'd have run out and got a bit scared at the thought of what really, if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket and try and be an actor, what you sacrifice to do that. Whereas I didn't have that opportunity. I just got asked, would you do this? I got in there, saw what was going on, carried on with school, didn't think this was going to be my career, and then as it turns out, I had a feeling for it. I got it, I liked it, I enjoyed it, and so then it was my choice to carry on if I wanted to, so to speak, rather than working for
and you did
10 years.
Blooming hell, you did. Wow, you've never stopped. Oh my God. One good thing about Brookside, which I think is good about Corrie as well, is that it champions where you're from and the accent and stuff, and you could just be a proud Liverpudlian, or with Corrie, a proud Manc, you know, Mancunian. And I love that you could do the you could just be Scouse and be proud of being Scouse.
And I think it's really important. I think it's really important that the industry had those forums for people to be able to be who they were. I again don't think there'll be many actors that you know now who started in those early soaps or using their own natural voice, whether it be Geordie, Biker Grove.
Oh, Biker Grove.
Look at how Ant and Dec made their careers from that.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have got in a show with an RP accent, you know. So it is it's a real flag that I fly, that there are shows that really champion having a regional accent.
And one thing that I absolutely loved, one of the roles that you played that really sticks in my head, because I just think it's genius, is in Ackley Bridge. I absolutely love the accent that you do in that. And did that take a hell of a lot of work? Because you've got... Yeah. Is it like Bolton sort of area?
It's a Bradford Stony accent. They have got a nickname for it.
Wow,
that's what they call it. I mean, I think that's an affectionate term that people give to it. But it's Bradford mixed with Pakistani.
And you can hear both of those completely clear, and I love it. Love listening to your accent in that. Is it?
I tell you what, it was because of course you can't buy a book to learn how to learn those sort of accents, which are really just formulated through immigration and society and where you end up. There's no one you can really turn to get taught it. So I sat in the back of a lot of cab drivers and dinner ladies' houses and went to visit the people, and I'd just take my dictaphone and listen and imitate and copy, and then I realised what it was, especially with Ackley Bridge being a show about multicultural people who are genuinely living in those areas in Yorkshire, and they mix with other people who sound so very Yorkshire, and they've got the real Yorkshire accent, and then they're learning their English. So my character Kenise came over from Pakistan apparently when she was 16, probably with a very heavy, strong Pakistani accent. She's then learning her English from the woman next door and the milkman, who were all like that and speak, and she has to then find her own hybrid of both accents, and then I have to try and learn it.
And did you have
it was hard. It was really hard.
Did you have a word or a phrase that would get you into it?
Yeah, I did actually. It's funny you should ask me that. What it is right, what it is right. So when I say what it is right, I can go a little bit of both, and also I'll go no, and one.
No, you sound like Mel B.
I know, it is a bit of that, but I'd write the word one as whenever it came up in my script with the word like no one, I would have to write in W-U-N. So I'd say one, no one, you don't know, no one tell me what to say. I'd have to really get those were the ladder rungs I'd have to hold on to stay playing her, because she was also so much fun, and she was three-dimensional. She was angry, she was sad, she was funny, she was bonkers, and I had to make sure, and I was so supported. I'm not just saying this to give them a shout out, but my fellow actors were the only reason I got away with doing that accent, because I was so nervous to open my mouth. Everyone knows I speak like this. Here I am in the room chatting to you like this. Then we say action, and I become a woman who doesn't sound anything like me. And they could have all just burst out laughing at me. They could have just been like, Sunetra, what the hell? But instead, they all kept saying, that's great, that's really good. You're doing really well.
But there was also comedy with it. So if they had to burst out laughing, I'd imagine it was that. I mean, it was such a brilliant show. And I actually thought, when I said, did you have a phrase that got into it? The thing that used to make me laugh so much was when you said bloody hell. And I thought you were going to say that.
Oh no, that was I've never known somebody getting so many bloodies in a script. In television, especially for shows pre-Watershed, you're not allowed to swear. I think I must have had some green pass that just allowed me to say bloody this, bloody that, bloody that, bloody this, bloody that. I was amazed that they were allowed to let this woman she uses it as punctuation rather than as actually a phrase.
Because we all know someone like that. On that subject, though, I saw your Who Do You Think You Are? And you said when you were growing up, you wanted to be as British, in inverted commas, as you could be. And obviously you are British. But why did that mean so much to you? And why did you want to deny your Indian heritage?
I suppose it's really hard using the word deny. I think I was looking the other way.
Okay.
I was looking forward, and India represented everything behind me, because my mum and dad came from there. They lived here. We didn't actually, we didn't live and breathe in the place that everybody's associated me from. So if somebody would say, oh, you might know this Indian person, and I think, why would I know them? Just because my mum and dad lived in India. So I think I was trying to distance myself from India in my childhood, because I was so focused on being accepted by my mates and the people I was mixing with, whether it be a childminder or whether it be the woman down the road who had a lovely dog, that I just wanted to be as close to what they were, because in the present everyone was talking about what they were doing. Like, the problem was I didn't have parents that went to see the Beatles, or I didn't have parents who grew up in Liverpool, so I had to sort of fast forward a version of me that could fit in with the people who did have that. And I think that's where the focal point was for my childhood. It wasn't so much I was denying I was Indian. I never said to anyone, oh no, I'm not. I just didn't go on about it, I was just not curious, because my mum did the Indian things she did. She cooked the Indian food, she wore Indian clothes, we dressed up for the Indian festivals and occasions. We had all our extended family who we would, socialise with, and I spoke Bengali. It wasn't that I refused to be Indian. I think in very early days in 1970, whatever it might have been, I realised the winning team was this one here. Nobody was winning in the Indian camp. Nobody was going, oh, let's have more Asians on telly. Oh, let's have more Asian news read. No, there was really quite an obvious stand, which was, this is where all the good stuff is. And I know that's quite a very obvious, I'm making it look very black and white, but it was. And I think the survival instinct in me said, if I want to do well, I need to know more about what they're talking about, because we're not going to do it on our own. And so it is about multiculturalism, really. It's about me. I mean, my friends were brilliant. They all embraced, like, can I wear a sari? No. Can I do this? No, I'm not asking my mum. They were so fascinated by it. And I was just like, tell me more about the, what's that thing you got for Christmas? Oh, what? What was it? The drinks that made it fizzy? The soda stream. Stuff like that. I was just so much more like, God, you get Coca-Cola in your house. That's amazing. So, yeah, I think realistically that Who Do You Think You Are was the biggest gift of a job I could have had, because it caught me up on all the things I wasn't paying any attention to growing up. My mum knew that she had a really influential grandfather, but I didn't ask about it. I had to go on Who Do You Think You Are? I know.
Wow. It blew me away. I've actually messaged all my family to say, you need to watch this episode. It's absolutely mind-blowing. A few of them messaged back saying, yeah, you're a bit behind there. We've watched this years ago. But hey-ho.
Well done. I'm really pleased you enjoyed it.
Oh, my God. It was, aristocracy in what is now Bangladesh. You had...
I know. Yeah, we were like the Downton Abbey of some part of Bangladesh that I wouldn't have been able to find on a map had you told me the name. I
have to say, I cried a lot watching that episode.
Well, I think what's really lovely to hear in you, Richard, is that you went on the journey, for pardon the pun, with me, because you could see how okay I was with everything to begin with. And there I am on the River Mersey going, I'm really proud to be from Liverpool. And there I am at the end sitting on a different river going, yes, wow. What's just happened?
But it was ridiculous though, because when the guys, all the little young lads jumped into the river at the end when you're on the boat, that made me cry as well. I'm such an emotional wreck.
No, it's giving me goosebumps knowing that it reached you. It really is important that it's not just a big indulgent documentary for me to go, oh, guess what, family, we've done this. It's more to do with knowing, did it reach somebody on the sofa who doesn't know anything about it? Great.
Absolutely. It was so that would, because you've worked a hell of a lot since you were 15, and you've even done 2 episodes of Death in Paradise, haven't you? So so do you still say that Who Do You Think You Are is the best job you've ever had?
I think it's the biggest gift of a job I've ever had. Okay. For someone to gift you the permission to go into your life and find stuff out, because let's not forget, there are hundreds of people that they interview who don't have anything worth talking about.
I spoke to one of them. He said, no, my life wasn't interesting enough. They dropped it.
Well, Michael Parkinson talks about it. Richard Madeley, they all say, when they say, I told them I'm just a miner's son, and they went, yeah, you're just a miner's son.
Not Sunetra Sarker though.
No, and I was like...
The king of that area.
This is all your land. What?
Yeah, exactly.
What? Here's some letters from Gandhi to you. What?
Oh, I know.
Hang on a second. Are you kidding me?
Again, tears flowing.
Bizarre.
And you were saying to the people, I'm so sorry, because I'm an actress, I'm quite emotional. I was thinking, I'm not an actress, and I'm sat here crying my eyes out.
Wow. I know, so can you imagine, and again, what an amazing job for the researchers. They have to start with everyone, and then then they find out bloody Danny dies related to the king, the very first king ever. So yeah, I think so when I say it's the best job, it's the best gift of a job, like in that they are gifting you your ancestry basically. It would have taken me years to have gathered everything they managed to do, and with a team. So that was brilliant. I don't really put that in my acting career. That is like those special perks, again, like Strictly, special perks that you get because people at home have grown up loving you, and this is something that they are gifts, those moments, aren't they? And you get asked to learn a skill or educate yourself some other way. So in the acting career, No Angels is probably going to always have pole position for me, because it was the first time I got to play a funny person on screen, because of course, again, up until then, we had programmes on that had loads of funny people on, and for them to choose an Asian girl to be like the Phoebe Buffet of a crowd was never ever seen before. We hadn't seen funny Asian girl. Yeah, you think of how funny Phoebe was when we first watched Friends, and you saw that kooky, fun, quirky character like Phoebe. Everyone talks about Rachel and Monica, but let's not forget, without Phoebe, it doesn't work. Well, this is the interesting thing. Without Phoebe, it doesn't actually work as a good, feel-good show. And we were making this show called No Angels was being made. Every girl in Britain was being auditioned for one of the 4 girls. I wasn't allowed to be seen because I was already playing a nurse on Brookside, which was a Channel 4 show. So Channel 4 had said, we're not really interested in looking at somebody who's already being a nurse on Channel 4. So it was a no-go zone, and I was hearing about all my mates going up for this show. Everyone was up for this, 4 nurses. It's going to be like Sex in the City. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like that. And I only went up for a guest part. My agent got me an audition for, a patient that might be in one of the episodes. And I went in, did the audition, and then they all sort of looked at each other and went, would you just hang on for a minute? And a few minutes later they said, would you come back in and read for this part? And so I had 10 minutes, and I quickly read this scene, and maybe it is because it was again just sprung on me, a bit like being stopped at the bus stop. Just sprung on me. They were like, would you just read for one of the main girls? And I was like, oh, okay. So I read, was in there for like 15 minutes. Before you knew it, I got a phone call saying, oh, you've been offered it. And I was like, what? The funny, quirky, crazy one out of the 4. I couldn't believe it. So for me, that was a massive leap from soap opera actress, just somebody who was once on Brookside doing a few small parts in the back of other programmes, whether it be Cracker or Bread or Lovejoy, and then I'd got like a lead in a comedy that I actually found really funny myself, and I made best friends with the other 3 girls, and we're still as strong as ever. In fact, really? I'm meeting them all this week.
Oh, that's amazing.
We are real sisters. Yeah, there was a real... You can't make shows that work. You'll notice this when you watch TV programmes. A lot of the best shows you've enjoyed are because the cast have found that chemistry themselves.
Yeah, it always upsets me about Samantha on Sex and the City. I think, no, they have to get on. They have to.
Me too. And I'm sure they did get on at one point. Yeah, there's no way that show could have worked if the 4 of them didn't have some amazing bond at some point. Where it went or what happened after they finished filming might be the sad downfall of Samantha, but really that the chemistry of people on screen, again with I use Friends as an obvious example, but Friends. They really do get it. Cold Feet, all those little programmes with groups of people. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's so I have to give...
You've done it.
There is another one.
Friends, watching the reunion, I was like, they just got it perfect. The characters, the amount of characters, the characters that they got, the cast for those characters, absolutely genius, because it all came together and made the biggest show ever in the world. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. When you're playing your more serious role, or even the comedy and stuff, what do you do to help protect your mental health? I'm assuming you have to go to some quite deep places and stuff sometimes.
Only in the last 5 years, I think, is this even a conversation people consider. But I realised a long time ago, I was doing a scene in, I did a show in London called London Bridge, which was like a regional soap. And I played a character who had to find her, and I think it was her sister-in-law on the floor, and she'd tried to commit suicide. Sorry. She had to find her sister-in-law on the floor who had tried to commit suicide. And we'd spent this whole day with me just trying to rescue her and rescue her and get upset, and thank God, you know, this character survives. And I was driving home that day and I had to pull over and I couldn't stop crying, and I was thinking, what am I crying for? I can't understand. And I realised it was letting out all the feelings I'd had as this person in the day's filming. And I remember for the first time then thinking, you do take your work home with you. Got to make sure you looked at this. I should have, in retrospect, looked at it a bit more, thought about it more, prepared myself for what I'm going into, because instead what I was left with was all the feelings I'd been pretending to feel. Again, in Casualty, weirdly, playing a doctor who's delivering bad news, who's got to lose patients, save patients, high energy, high adrenaline. You know, I'm pretending life and death, right, in my job. How do I go home and not just have like adrenaline running through my veins before I go to sleep? You know, I had to start finding ways, and for me, music was great.
Wow, that's really weird. I just looked at my page in front of me with the questions, and the next word was music. Just as you said it. Yeah.
Music was hugely important because it really switched me out and took me to. It was a bit meditative, I suppose, before meditation was as, you know, current and mindful as it is now. I wasn't really the exercise person, so I couldn't do the running. A lot of my friends run, jog, yoga. For me, massage was another place of meditation. I would be able to. A lot of people I've found out don't like other people's hands on them, giving them massage, so they're missing out on a lot. But for me, music and massage really helped me zone back and keep me from falling into the part too much. And I've found a lot of great tools. Interestingly, because everyone's so much more open to talk about mental health, I've found so many better solutions in my life. Even when you think you don't need help, it's helpful to know you've got something you can use.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Honestly, I can't tell you, Richard, and look at us all post-lockdown. We're all trying to get back into our world, but we know there's something there's like an elephant in the room. No one's really talking about, remember those years when we just all went locked down and nothing, you know, and we're trying to get back to normal without harping on about it, but there'll be a lot of mental health issues hanging over from then. And I discovered this really amazing website. It's an app called Leafyard. And what it does is it teaches you how to stretch your neuroplasticity. Do you know what that neuroplasticity is?
Sounds interesting.
Isn't it? As a TV doctor, I'm pretending I know everything, but it's the part of your brain. It's the part of your brain that teaches you how to sort of enjoy and how to learn. So every time you were at school in the lesson, your neuroplasticity was working because, you know, you're learning how to speak French, or you're learning how to add up, or you're learning how to whatever. So when you're always stretching your neuroplasticity, it keeps growing. And then what happens after school, we stop doing that intensive learning. We just stay with what we've got. We don't really push it, and then we just stick with what we believe, what we know. You know, if I was told I wasn't very good at maths, turns out I'm quite good at it, but I believed I wasn't good at it because I'd been told this is who I am by this point. And I think when I went into this website, basically it personalises your sort of like a gym for your mental health. It just keeps helping push, like, just gives you 5 minutes every day or every other day, or whenever you want to, and it personalises a journey for your mental health. So I've got friends who can't sleep well. They are loving it because they're on a different journey to me. Another friend who suffers huge panic attacks out of the blue, anxiety, no reason. She's finding loads of help from doing her. You just basically do what your path is. And for me, it's overcommitting to work and always not being. And I just find it very hard to say no. I find it really hard to say no, she says, speaking to the man who she met on Twitter to do a podcast. Literally, it's part of my arsenal to be so grateful that somebody's interested to work with me that I should automatically say yes because I don't want to offend. And no one would say that's a mental health issue, right? But it is for me.
Oh, yeah.
And so
it's about putting yourself first, I suppose, and realising your worth, and that you don't have to put yourself out there. You don't have to offer yourself. You don't have to overwork because you're worth more sometimes.
But the alternative is the fear of nobody wanting to ever ask you. Or there's all these wonderful sort of. Everyone's so complex, aren't they? That for me, I would never be going to see a therapist because of what I've just talked to you about, which is why something like Leaf Yard was so helpful, because it was like, I would never have gone looking for this sort of extra help, the support, and actually the explanation, what it does, it just gives you the science behind why you're thinking the way you're thinking. It makes so much sense, and I'm a massive advocate of this way of doing it. So if any of your listeners, I'll put a little code. I can share my private code with you all. Go ahead, give it a go, and give it a go, because it's just a better way. It's basically done like what Couch to 5K did to all those people who said I'll never run. Yes. It's kind of like that. It just nudges you to go, yeah, I can do it under 5 minutes on keeping my sanity.
I talk to people all the time about giving themselves 5 minutes for something like mindfulness or something like that, because it only has to be 5 minutes, and we deserve it. I've had the Couch to 5K app on my phone since I think November 2020. I've not used it once, but Leaf Yard is now on my phone.
Oh, good. I'm not joking. I'm so pleasantly surprised by the fact that there's something that works and especially because mental health lists are just growing. How many people genuinely need doctors and therapists' time? That means we have to wait until we're in that state to get help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not good enough to put down every day, here's a timer, do 1 hour's meditation. I wish I was. I just know myself too well. So anyway, that's my that's how I've been working through my mental health with work.
So that helps you get through the day to day. Just going back to music. What is your music tastes? What sort of stuff do you like?
Oh, I'm a real pop. I'm a pop and soul queen.
Beverly Knight.
Beverly Knight.
She did my second episode, and I love her. Oh. And I was so nervous waiting for her to come on because she is my queen.
I will go back to listen to that, Richard, because she is.
It's basically me just gushing.
Unsung hero of pop. Back in the day, Beverly was doing the nightclubs in Liverpool. You know, over the water. Yeah. RJ's was a nightclub back then. I don't know if it's still there. We used to all go over the water to go to see Beverly sing at RJ's, because she was doing like regional clubs and road shows, because she was a jobbing singer.
Yeah.
And I remember even the DJs were like, have you heard her voice? Oh my gosh, she's better than Whitney Houston. I mean, we were really in awe of how good she was. And then, of course, she turned up on the West End, and she is an unsung hero, though. I have to say, she could have been what Prince was to us all. You know,
Prince is her hero as well.
I know.
Yeah. I went to see her in The Drifter's Girl last December, the play that she's just finishing in.
Yeah.
Every time she opened her mouth, I was in tears, but that's not shocking considering that I've said that I've been in tears about everything.
She did an amazing show called Sylvia, which was about Sylvia Pankhurst, who's Emmeline Pankhurst's sister. Do you know the story?
She got so much flack on that for being a woman of colour and playing a character that wasn't.
Well,
and it was ridiculous.
Well, the whole cast were women of colour, and that was what made it so amazing, because the story had layers because that resonated with today, because it was showing women's struggle back in the day when women were the complete minority, and they used people of colour to depict that story, which made you in the audience go, God, that speaks volume. That's speaking to me on two levels. Anyway, she was standout. She sang honestly, everyone was on their feet every 5 seconds. There was just standing ovations left, right and centre. Anyway, we could talk about Beverly Knight all day long, but yes, you're on my right vibes here.
Music, pop and soul. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Same. I'm coming down to Bristol to go out with you. So, music, Leaf Yard, these are your... massage, you said as well, massage. Yeah. You do mean getting a massage, not giving one.
I mean, getting a massage, Richard.
Same here.
Course.
Absolutely love having a massage as well. It's just when you were talking about it, I thought, do you mean like as a stress relief? Because I always wonder, I always feel sorry for the masseurs. I think, do your thumbs get tired during the day or whatever?
I do wonder. They've got really strong hands, haven't they, if they're doing that day in, day out.
Because if my partner ever says, can you just give us a quick back whip or whatever, my thumbs get tired, like, within about 30 seconds. I'm like, right, that's it now, Sam, move over.
Yeah, and then I get complaints. Scott, my husband, says, that was 3 minutes. And I'll go, that felt like an hour to me. I've been working that muscle really well.
That's exactly the same. It's exactly the same with me. I get that completely. So massage, getting, music and leaf yard. And it's leaf as in off a tree and yard.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you what, you will be real. I think it's one of those brilliant new tech. I think what's happened is so much technology is around. So everyone's dropping new ideas every day. But to find something that speaks normal English, but doesn't lecture me or doesn't patronise me and doesn't sit there nodding its head and making me feel like I've done something wrong. It's so honest and real, and I suppose it's just a really good way for me to feel in myself that I'm doing something, but I'm also not doing anything that's gonna, take up my life. It's been the perfect solution for me with keeping my mental health balanced.
It sounds perfect, and it sounds very much on trend with what I'm trying to do with this podcast, which is ending the stigma around mental health.
Great.
People need to talk more, they need to get out more, and we need to share ideas, because without talking about it, if we're too scared to talk about it, we're not sharing ideas, we're not sharing what we do to get through our mental health journey. And I know, like you say, everyone's different, but we can take pointers off each other, hopefully.
Oh, no, because then also we get overwhelmed because other people aren't telling us anything about their failures. Everyone's only ever talking about their successes. I mean, it's wonderful that you're rejoicing in all the things I've done, but we're spanning a 30-plus year career in what we're talking about here. I don't want other people who haven't succeeded in all of the things they get to do to feel any less for it, and I do. That's why I'm really careful about making sure everybody knows, like, just do what you can do, but make sure you mention the bad stuff as well as the good.
Yeah, because comparison is one of the worst things for mental health.
Oh,
if you can look at the whole spectrum, like you say, and say, yeah, they've done that, they're on that amazing holiday, but last year they couldn't afford food, for example.
And bitterness can come in, and it's hard if people aren't being honest. I used to have a friend years ago, thankfully she's not the same, and she used to, every time I'd ask her how she was, everything was brilliant, it was great, oh, so good, this is good, this is good, this is good. And then I stopped ringing her actually after a while, because I wasn't having the best day, and I think, I'm not ringing her because she'll just tell me how great her life is. And it's a shame, because I did lose touch with her for a good few years, until one day she called me in tears, and she was going through a divorce, and she'd had a miscarriage. And it was so refreshing to hear her. I'd never heard her talk negatively about anything. Her husband had been great, her this had been great, her job was great, and now all of a sudden she was telling me that he's actually not great, she's not doing well, and it was the best cure for our friendship, because actually then we could talk about real things. And it was, so I think there's a real, you've got to choose friends who you can be honest with.
That's what it's about, isn't it? Honesty and reality in that conversation there. Someone that, I mean, I like it when people feel that they can be completely honest with me. I feel like I've done a good job then. If somebody's like, the last few days, my mental health has not been brilliant. I lost my mum in February, and I've got some friends that live just around the corner, and they have been amazing. With my partner, we went to the cinema yesterday, and I just said to my partner, I've not had anxiety before I had COVID. When I had COVID, I got anxiety, and I'd never had it before. And then we were in the cinema yesterday, and I could feel myself getting a panic attack. So I said, look, Sam, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to leave. And I had to leave. But later on, they were all so supportive, and they knew exactly what to do to just help get me back to good. So it's all about honesty, and about not hiding it, I suppose, and not feeling that you have to hide it, not being ashamed, not running away from it. So.
Well, it's also because you worry, there's this fear, isn't there, especially when you're younger, that people are going to use this against you later down the line. And it's that, I don't want anyone to have any bad black marks against my name. And I think when you start understanding that, you actually get better relationships from those people when you start opening up, because then they know, in a way, they've got it owing to be able to tell you their bad stuff, because it keeps the balance of the friendship. If only one side of the friendship is needy, or give, then you just go out of kilter. And you being so honest yesterday means that the friends who supported you know that they can do that back in return when it's their turn, and you'll be there when it's their turn.
Absolutely. I've got some really good friends at the moment, and I'm really feeling blessed. I only met them in February, just after my mum died, but we've become so close, and we're so similar. We've been on holiday together as well, and they're also friends, which they were also friends with one of my childhood friends that I hadn't seen for 20 plus years. And then because of them, he's come back in my life as well. So it's brilliant. I've got some really good friends at the minute. I'm in a really good place. It's all about me now.
I'm really glad to hear that. No, I'm really glad to hear that. And do you know what? I'm not just saying it. Maybe there was a reason I had to mention Leaf Yard to you, because everything you've just said then, I'm thinking, I can't say it again, but I am. You will honestly benefit in leaps and bounds just having it in your pocket, having the option to be able to understand what to do next time that happens, because you can't help yourself. Anyway, we digress. How wonderful that, we're all talking like this more.
No, it's brilliant. And the one thing that I don't want is for you to get any anxiety from your agent. So I will best thank you for your time, because you've given me 40 minutes.
Oh, thank you,
I'm so
Richard.
chuffed. I'm genuinely chuffed. I'm so grateful for you.
I feel good for doing it. So there you go. That's all that you need. If you give up some of your time for free, you want to feel like it was really good time spent, and it was. So thank you very much.
Oh, good. And yeah, it's good to talk, isn't it? So it's a form of therapy anyway, just getting it all out there.
There you go. Let's hope we've helped somebody find a little bit of a breather in their day by listening to this.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I hope so. Leaf Yard.
Yeah, and I will leave you a code. I will, because I do want the more people who know about this, the better.
Well,
whether you want to do it or not, you'll know someone.
I'm going to stop the recording then and then get your code. But thank you again so much, and it's been a joy. I've been really looking forward to speaking to you, because I've loved your career so far.
Oh, you're a pleasure to talk to, and thanks for saying such lovely things.
You doing any more Gogglebox with Georgia Taylor?
Do you know what this is? We overcommitted ourselves.
Again.
We did 3 years, and what happened is we had to keep giving up all our weekends, because we were both filming Corrie and Ackley Bridge in the week, so we could only give Gogglebox our Saturdays or Sundays, and then our families turned around and went, "Are we going to have another summer without seeing you?" So we had to say, sorry TV, we can't sit in front of the telly all weekend when our families need to see us a bit. So no, we're not doing it this year, because we needed to keep our weekends for friends and family.
And as well as you, Georgia's been very, not the smallest storyline lately.
Exactly. She's been a busy bee, so it's probably better that we didn't.
Not sure what happened to the last part of our conversation, but it was just me thanking Sunetra for her time and being a wonderful guest. I hope you enjoyed this episode, because I know I did. Thank you for listening.